Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
A2D Radio, Sports Hounds with you till 10 o'clock. I'm Rob Brinkman. He's Brad Ryer. Frank Vesby back from Florida producing the show, making Mondays tolerable in the dog days of summer with no football. We'll jump right into it. Scanzano Sports, poll question of the night. What are your expectations? Phillies have 50 wins on Sunday. They're halfway to 100, more than halfway through the season. So what are your renewed expectations for the season? Collapse, wild card, division title, or are they going to go all the way to the World Series and maybe win the World Series? For me, anything short of a playoff berth would be extremely, extremely disappointing. I'm not going to say a failure because that's a strong word, because I'm probably one of the only Phillies fans that didn't have any expectations going into the season. But they're in first place right now. It's after July 4th. Brad, that's nothing to sneeze at.
No, not at all. I mean, once you start hitting the middle of July and your team is still in first place, there's something to be said about that. I think they're in a position where they really need to try to win the division. I don't think that they can win a wild card because I just think the competition is going to be too hard.
Yeah, but if you have Aaron Nola in a one and done situation, I like the Phillies' chances a lot.
Okay, but suppose he has to face Kershaw.
Because he's always lights out in the postseason.
Well, he hasn't really pitched that much this year, so maybe his arm won't be tired. I mean, it's going to be. Listen,
Point being, that would be tough. That would be tough because I think the Dodgers are good. I think the Diamondbacks are good.
I just think that they may not have a better record than the wild card teams. That's my only issue. I think they have a better chance of winning the division than they do to make the wild card.
In a one and done situation against, say, a team like the Cubs with Nola on the hill, I would expect to win there. I think they would be favored in that game, and I think they should win. I don't think the Cubs are that good. I don't know what you think about it. I know you're an American League guy.
I mean,
the Cubs have no leadoff hitter, and they have no bullpen. I don't think the Cubs are that good. I think the Brewers are the best team in the Central.
I think the Brewers are the best team in the National League.
I think you're right.
To be honest with you, I mean, just watching them and watching their lineup,
and we'll have to keep an eye on the trade. That could change.
That is really. I'll tell you what, that team hits like the Yankees. They really do. They hit a ton of home runs.
They're like the Phillies used to be in their 2008, 2009 stretch. They're an American League lineup in a National League.
Could you imagine if they had Nelson and Davies? At the top of the rotation, they'd be running away with that division.
Well, this guy Freddie Peralta, he's a strikeout machine. I'm a big fan of his.
I understand that, but still, can you imagine that they're missing their two top pitchers?
Understood.
Their
starting pitching is good enough because they have Hader, and
they have a very good
Knable at the back end.
Yeah, they have.
I agree with you. They are the best team in the National League. I think the Diamondbacks are a close second. I still think that the Nationals are going to be heard from. I think if the Braves don't do something with their everyday lineup, they have the potential to fold. The Phillies, obviously, we talk about their flaws every week.
The Braves, I mean, my problem with the Braves is I just don't know if those young pitchers are going to get worn out by the dog days in August and September.
I think also that the Braves this past week played both the Yankees and the Brewers and pretty much got their hats handed to them. So if that's not a wake-up call to their front office that they need to do something in order to contend this year, I'm not really sure what is. I think they're a dark horse for Bryce Harper in the offseason. That's not going to help you this season.
No, and you know what? As far as that goes, I would worry about that kind of stuff in the offseason because
I think a guy like Mike Moustakas would be perfect for them. I want the Phillies. Well, it's hard to say the Phillies need a third baseman. Maikel Franco is on fire.
Yeah, he's been doing a great
The
job.
Phillies lost 4-3 today in the first game of the doubleheader to the dirty, stinking Mets. Franco homered again. He's now leading the team in batting average after Odubel Herrera goes 0 for 5. He's starting to show his true colors as a straight hacker. I fully expect his average to go back up to the 290 range by season's end, but man, is he streaky.
Yeah, he's very streaky. He really is. But look, as far as the Phillies go, I think they are good enough to win that division. They definitely are. I think they have a better chance to win the division than I do them coming in for a wild card. I just feel like they're going to have a hard time having a better record than the Cubs or the Dodgers.
It sounds like you think that the National League East is a one playoff team division.
Yeah, I do. Even though
Okay.
the National League is not very good, the National League East in particular is not very good because the Mets and the Marlins are such patsies. I just feel like those teams are not established teams the way the Dodgers are and the Diamondbacks, and then you go to the Cubs and the Brewers. I just think it's going to be very hard. You basically have 6 teams for 5 playoff spots, and I think I think team number 6 is going to be between the Phillies and the Braves, to whoever wins the NL East.
So you're off the Nationals.
Yeah, I think the Nationals have had it. To me, they look like an old, worn-out team. And unless they can somehow infuse themselves with youth or get something that's going to really spark them, they just seem like dead men walking. I mean, I've seen this before. They look like the carcass that the Yankees were like 3 years ago when they all started getting old, before they went and they turned their roster over. I mean,
But who's old? Juan Soto's not old. Adam Eaton's not old.
Soto, yeah, but
Bryce Harper's not old.
Bryce Harper's
Trey
playing.
Turner's not old.
Bryce Harper's playing like an old
Anthony
man this year.
Rendon's not old.
Yeah, but these guys have been injured a lot, and they're playing like they're old. I mean, they really are. Scherzer has been magnificent like always. I mean, on paper they have a great bullpen, but it just seems to me that there is something not right with the Washington Nationals. And I know you could say that Strasburg's missed some time, and
It's a big loss.
Yeah, I know it is, but it can't all be just because of Strasburg. He only pitches once every 5 days. I mean, what about the other 4 guys? I mean, you always get a great game out of Scherzer, but what is going on with that team? That team just seems to not hit. As I said, they just seem to be like the carcass that's been getting dragged around this year. They really, and they've been incredibly bad for like the last month now.
They're 1 game over 500. The Phillies are now 9 games over 500, I believe, after today's loss.
They'll be 10 after.
Nola's pitching game 2,
game
so
2.
don't worry. You can get a split with the Mets on a doubleheader. That's perfectly fine. It's very hard to sweep a doubleheader. I don't care how
really
good
is.
I don't care how good one team is and how bad the other team is.
Especially in
very
this day,
hard to sweep a
especially in
doubleheader.
this day and age, because so many guys are they're always resting guys. You never get both teams' best players in the same.
Well, the
game.
Yankees played a doubleheader today. They're not going to sweep.
No, they may get swept if they don't win. If they don't win that second game.
And they pitched. They pitched
Sabathia the first.
Well,
game.
I thought that Kapler actually made a good move by calling up someone from AAA to pitch yesterday's game, and having 2 guys.
It wasn't. It wasn't that kid's fault that the Phillies lost. I mean, the Phillies got one run.
Right, but I'm saying.
But it's also baseball. You don't win every single game
I
in
like the
baseball.
fact that they have 2 of their 5 regular starters pitching in both games of the doubleheader today.
Yeah, that worked out.
I think that was a smart move.
That was a smart move.
It saves the bullpen. I know the game went into extras, so I mean the pen had the.
It still saves the bullpen, and the other thing is don't forget.
You're probably
next
not going to
week is
need
the All-Star break, so you don't have to worry about it. It's not going to catch up. It catches up with you the second time around, not the first time around, and it won't catch up with them because they're going to have the 5 days. So really, that was a very smart move by Kapler. You got to give him a little credit where credit is due.
I just
there.
did.
Yeah, that was pretty smart. Leading off your catcher in a baseball game.
I don't understand.
That might.
I don't
be
understand.
That might be a little strange.
I don't understand.
I mean, whatever. That's
Frank seeing Freeney collapse if they don't add a stick to the lineup and upgrade the bench. I mean, what position are you? I think they need a right fielder. I'm not a Nick Williams fan. I've never been a Nick Williams fan. He looks unathletic and lost in the outfield, and he doesn't get on base enough or hit for a high enough average for me. So right field is the bat that I would add.
And it's very easy to find outfielders at the trade deadline. That's not a hard thing to do. There's plenty of bats available. I mean, I can think of a few right off the top of my head. Adam Jones comes to mind. He'd be a real nice
but
bat.
Clintack is too soft to make a trade like that.
Yeah, well, but that's a rental. How much would you have to give up for a guy like that? Like an A-level minor leaguer. I mean, they're not. I mean, listen, they'll get something for Manny Machado, most definitely. But for Adam Jones, what are they going to get for him? Really, not much.
And I would absolutely add Manny Machado and put him at shortstop.
Manny Machado would make any team really good. I mean, could you imagine Manny Machado's bat in that Milwaukee Brewer lineup? Woo.
Well, I think the Diamondbacks are the dark horse in that sweepstakes.
Oh, the Dodgers are in that are in the hunt too.
The Dodgers don't seem willing at least at this point to be willing to play ball with the level of prospects that they're going to have to give.
You know what? They said that last year, and they still went and got what's his name, the guy that used to pitch for Texas, the Japanese guy that's hurt now.
Oh, Darvish.
Yes,
yeah. You're right.
I mean, they still went and got him. So I mean, the Dodgers talk a lot, but when push comes to shove, they always seem to make that move they need to make to get themselves where they got to get to, and I think that they're going to do something pretty major, the Dodgers. My question is, the Giants. What are the Giants going to do?
Well, the Giants, they should be looking to add, no?
Are they really good enough to make the playoffs, though?
I mean, they're on the hot streak. They're a couple games back in the wild card. I mean, why would you not?
Because they're just, I don't know. They're old. But you know what? I mean, I guess I'm just rooting for them to lose. So they
You're
trade
not getting.
Bumgarner.
You're not. They're not trading. They're not trading
Bumgarner. No, he's not going to get traded. Not if they're in it. Most definitely not. I mean, right now, if you look at it, there is no top pitcher to be had right now.
Cole Hamels got bombed again over the weekend.
So did J Happ.
J Happ is.
The Yankees toasted him this Saturday. I mean, if that was a audition to try to get traded to the Yankees, I would say that Mr. Happ failed his audition pretty badly because the Yankees knocked him out in the third inning.
I mean, you got to think the two Rays pitchers that could potentially be dealt are going to cost you a lot. And Archer's not even healthy. He's hurt.
Well, he's pitching tonight.
Is he really? He's back.
He's
okay,
back tonight.
I missed that.
He's back tonight.
And
so
then
we'll
Blake
see about
Snell.
him.
I mean, good God,
Blake
for
Snell
him not to be on the All-Star team is an absolute travesty.
Well,
I mean,
the fact that they picked
they put Sergio
Romo in there is puzzling to say the least. But
why would you do that? And then you look at the Tigers. Joe Jimenez gets the nod for their one All-Star over Castellanos, who's been tearing the cover off the ball all season.
He has been the one shining light on that team.
So I don't understand. I don't understand the thought process in that. And I'm sorry.
The Houston Astros manager is the one you need to check.
Yeah,
with,
but there's the players' vote, the managers' vote, the coaches' vote. So, it's not all him.
Well, I'll tell you what. Blake Snell looks like a dynamite pitcher. And you know who else is looking good is Nasty Nate Eovaldi.
He's very good.
He really has looked good since he's come back from Tommy John. I mean, I was at the game when he pitched against the Yankees a couple of weeks ago, and I'll tell you what, he had for 7 innings, the Yankees had I think 1 or 2 runs on like 3 hits, and they struck out a zillion times like they always seem to. And then finally in the 7th inning, after like his 110th pitch, they lit him up and scored 5 runs. But I mean, if Cash would have taken him out when he should have taken him out, they would have been held to like 2 runs, and that would have been a game that the Yankees could have lost. Speaking of Tampa Bay, how about Tampa Bay?
They have the same record as the Washington Nationals.
Yeah, with nowhere near the talent.
No, not at all.
I mean, that team. I mean, you got to give them a lot of credit. I mean, do you know they swept the Astros a couple of weeks ago?
Yes.
After they swept the Yankees, then they went and swept the Astros. I mean, Mike, that's saying something because it's you can see them doing that to a division team.
And
Because division teams, they play each other so much. There's some familiarity, so sometimes that stuff can happen. But boy, when you go out and you sweep a team like the Astros, that's saying something. And the Oakland A's too. The Oakland A's have been tremendous this year. They're now I believe they're 10 games over 500.
who's that?
The A's.
The A's. They're very good. They score a lot of runs.
Yes, they do.
They have a good bullpen, and their starters are just good enough.
Yeah, I mean they could use obviously they could use a little upgrade there. They're in a strange position though, Rob. They're 6 games out of the playoffs right now? The A's 6 or 7 games out as we speak. I mean, are they a buyer or a seller, or do they just ride it out with the same team and try to develop this talent?
I mean, they're not going to add. They're not going to take on money.
No.
They're just not going to take on money. I wouldn't be selling by any stretch. All their guys are young.
What about Chris Davis?
I mean, he's one of the American League leaders in home runs.
I know, but is he old?
He's one of the few veterans they have. Jed Lowry as well.
Yeah, but you can't get rid of those
I'm
guys.
assuming that Jed Lowry will take Gleyber Torres' spot on the American League
most definitely.
roster
I don't
spot.
think,
I mean, he's hitting 290 with 62 RBIs.
I don't see
before the All-Star break.
I don't see them.
Silly numbers.
Yeah, I don't see Gleyber Torres. I don't see that him playing. I see him sitting and coming back that Friday. I don't think the Yankees want to take any chances with him. I think
No, he's not going to play in the All-Star game.
No. Although he supposedly is ready to play now, but he's not due to come off the DL until the 14th or the 15th, something like that. So I mean, he's not going any. I doubt he's going to play. Gary Sanchez, by the way, is going on a rehab assignment this weekend, so the Yankees will get him back after the All-Star break. And that team right now, offensively, has struggled without those two guys.
Yankees are going to be fine.
They'll be fine. They'll make the playoffs, but I'll tell you what, they're going to end up in the wild card because you know what? Boston never loses. I mean, it's remarkable how they beat up bad teams.
They're a good team. They outsmarted 29 other teams in Major League Baseball and signed J.D. Martinez.
That was a big signing.
He's been killing it.
Yeah, he has been, but it's not just him. You know, Benintendi's been a good player for them.
Yeah, but he would be killing it this season no matter what.
Who, Benintendi?
Yeah.
I agree. And
same with Bogart, same with Betts.
Who would have seen Mitch Moreland having the kind of year he's having? I mean, I'm shocked by that.
I guess the Red Sox, because they didn't listen to my advice in signing Eric Hosmer and signed Moreland, and I made fun of him. So
yeah,
Mitch Moreland's on the All-Star team.
Yeah, I know he is, which probably is a knock at the American League first base situation, because the American League first base situation is not very pretty right now. There really aren't any good first basemen in the American League.
Who's starting?
The guy in the White Sox.
Abreu. That's who I voted for. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, well, he's having the best year, but I mean, the American League's first. Smoke is not having a good year. Edwin Encarnacion is not having a good year.
No.
I'm just thinking of some of the guys that are. I mean, you can't really vote for Albert Pujols. He hasn't done all that well. He hasn't really been hitting the ball. Who else is there really to vote for?
No one.
The American League. Yeah, the American League is not loaded with first basemen. The National League seems to have all the good first basemen now.
Which they do.
Yeah, I mean.
They have Rizzo, they have Votto, they have Goldschmidt, Freeman.
Yeah, I mean they have the four best first basemen right now presently play in the National League. You know, your first baseman isn't so bad either if he starts hitting for a little higher.
They should have had a draft like they did at the NBA All-Star game.
That would have been real interesting, but then you take the fans' vote out of it.
Who cares about the fans? The fans are dopes.
Well, I know that. Because if the fans weren't dopes,
And then you can still.
If the fans didn't vote, Bryce Harper wouldn't be on the All-Star team.
I mean,
Bryce Harper, he's hitting like 215.
Well, why not? You can have the fans vote for the starters in the AL and National League, and then they don't have to be on the team.
I
Then
understand that, but
you
Rob,
say Trout and Harper are the captains, and they pick the teams who they want.
215. Guys get sent down to the minor leagues when they hit.
Well,
215.
not in today's baseball.
It's awful.
Not in today's baseball, Brad.
No, I realize that, but it's awful. Let's be honest, okay? When you're hitting 215, you're not that's not major league acceptable. 210, 215, that's not acceptable.
But he has 25 home runs.
Harper?
Yeah.
Does he have that many?
Yeah. I don't know if he had quite 25, but
I have to check.
he has a lot of home. He has over 20.
Still 210?
He was on my ballot as a starting outfielder in the National League.
In all fairness, I wouldn't have voted for him with that. I just don't think he's having a good enough season to warrant it.
Well, it's like all the good outfielders are in the American League.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at some of the outfielders that didn't make it in the American League, Rosario didn't make it, Stanton didn't make it,
Benintendi didn't make it. He's going to win. I mean, either Stanton or Benintendi is going to win the final vote thing because of the Boston and New York fans.
Boston fans tend to vote more.
Well, Benintendi's having a better season than Stanton. That would be fair.
That's pretty close. I mean, I'll tell you what, as a pure hitter, just a pure hitter, he's probably been a little bit better. He doesn't have the power of Stanton, but you know what? Benintendi doesn't strike out the way Stanton does either. So I'd rather have him up in a big spot than Stanton right now. And that's
no kidding.
That's saying something because I'm a Yankee fan.
No kidding. Benintendi is better than Giancarlo Stanton
He's definitely a better clutch
in
hitter.
every aspect of the game.
Well, he's not a power hitter like Stanton is.
Okay, but I mean Stanton strikes out every how many at bats?
Way too much, and he doesn't hit right-handed pitching at all.
David Rosca checks in from Vegas. Lesnar got called out by Daniel Cormier. I did see that over the weekend. And it's a shame because Dana White is coming off as a Vince McMahon wannabe. Does anyone even know who Daniel Cormier fought on Saturday?
I believe it was what's his name? He's the Croatian guy. Stipe something. I think that's the right one.
Right, you're proving my point.
Yeah.
Very nicely, Frank.
I know it's
Nobody
I don't remember
cares.
the name. I don't remember the name, but I know it's like a.
And then
Croatian
Daniel
something.
Cormier celebrating, and then Brock Lesnar bursts into the ring in a suit like it's the WWF Royal Rumble. It's just a complete joke. And then the big headline before that was when Conor McGregor threw that tantrum and injured all those fighters by attacking that tour bus. So congratulations, Dana White. You've absolutely ruined what was a promising combat sport, and made it a complete joke. The only way I'll buy a UFC product is, one, if John Bones Jones fights Brock Lesnar, or if Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather fight inside the octagon. That's the only way I'll buy a UFC pay-per-view. It's a complete joke. It's really sad because they had combat sports pretty much by the neck, strangling it as far as popularity goes, and then they do all this nonsense and they completely ruin it.
Well, hopefully they'll stop with the WWE playbook and go back to being what they were that made them successful.
They don't have any talent. Conor doesn't want to. Yeah. Conor doesn't want to get in the ring because he's not going to make as much money as when he got punched in the face however many times against Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, and Floyd Mayweather is not going to get into the octagon with him.
He might.
But
yeah. Why would he want to get his brains beat?
Money talks.
Yeah. He's the money team for no reason, so.
I understand that, but he really would get his brains beat.
Oh, yeah. He'll totally
he would get the lion's share of the money again.
Yeah.
And who knows?
But
he'd have a puncher's chance.
I mean, he'll have a chance, but
McGregor
he's not going to last all 5 rounds.
McGregor's going to grab him. He's
Probably
gonna pick
not.
him up, and he's going to slam him, and he's going to do all these wrestling moves on him. I just don't. I mean,
I
he's
agree
not
with you.
There. He's not going to just stand.
But if Conor's
going
to be cocky and try and throw hands with him, which he might,
if he does that,
then
he will
Floyd
lose.
Mayweather could win.
He will lose if he does that. But if he just becomes a wrestler, which he can do, he's going to.
Conor McGregor, yes, he knows how to wrestle because he's in the octagon.
Yeah.
That was never his forte.
No, but he's still good enough to do it.
And he's still got the moxie to do something like that with the talking.
So those are the only two, and I don't see them letting Bones Jones play at UFC anytime soon.
Whatever happened to that Arab guy that was so good?
Nagmedov?
Yeah.
Who nobody cares.
The guy that if he
yeah,
gets you
he's
on the
good,
ground,
but nobody cares.
Nobody cares about him.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
He's got no name recognition. He's not
Nobody cares about him.
We don't have to sit here. We're all three of us. I would put us in the category of casual combat sports fans as far as UFC.
And I'm more of a boxing fan, to be honest.
But my point being is, I'm not going to see Nurmagomedov on the card and be like, I have to see that fight.
No, I understand.
Unless
that,
he's fighting Conor.
And that's
not going to happen because Conor's not going to risk it because the money's not good enough.
Yeah, and also Conor could lose that one because if that guy got Conor off his feet, Conor's going to lose.
I still don't know how Conor McGregor beat Jose Aldo. Aldo was sleeping in the first 10 seconds and got knocked out. But if they fought 9 times, I bet you Jose Aldo would win. If they fought 10 times, I bet you Jose Aldo would win 10 of them.
Well, they haven't had a rematch, so.
Because Conor knows that and is not going to rematch him.
Yeah, he's too smart for that.
And then Diaz beat Conor, but I mean everyone knew that was coming because, Diaz is 2 weight classes up.
That's not really a fair fight, though.
UFC.
That's not a fair fight.
UFC, they're in trouble because they're coming off as clownish, and I don't understand how they're going to generate pay-per-view buys.
Yeah.
Hopefully things will
Jones,
change with them.
McGregor,
they need to put
Daniel
their best
Cormier
foot
is
forward.
probably the most boring champion I've ever seen. I mean, nothing happens in his fights. Not a knock on him. He does what he has. He wrestles and is boring and does what he has to do to retain his championship.
You know what they need? They need some big mouths in there to stir it up. That's why he.
Which is they had that with Conor and they were doing well, but that now Conor's too big for the octagon, unless he's fighting Floyd Mayweather.
Right, but one of the other guys, they need to have some good guys and heels.
They need to get stars.
Yeah,
somehow.
They do. I mean, if they have
sports are nothing without stars.
Yeah, and they have to basically start looking at the boxers, looking at the pro wrestlers, see who the best athletes are, try to get them into the ring. I know wrestling is not. I know wrestling is scripted, but you still some of the things these guys do. It takes great hand-eye coordination.
Yeah,
these guys
athleticism and
these guys have terrific athletic ability. I mean, I remember a guy leaping Lanny Poffo, who was Randy Savage's cousin or nephew or something.
I believe it's his brother. I believe.
Oh, his brother.
Yeah.
Do you remember when an athlete that guy was doing backflips in the ring to escape holds? I mean, the guy was doing backflips.
But then there's
that's unbelievable.
But then there's the risk of getting a ridiculous character too of what the big ones WWE wants to do. It's like, oh, Lanny, you're great, but we're gonna put you in a graduation gown and call you the genius.
Yeah,
that never really took off.
No,
yeah.
No, they sometimes
right, but he's still the same athlete in that gimmick and could
right.
translate possibly into UFC.
Yeah, it all depends on the fans as well.
What about a guy like Rey Mysterio?
Yeah.
I mean that guy's probably the best athlete in the history of the WWE.
Probably one of the best luchador style wrestlers. Just athletic-wise.
Athletically, has there ever been a better athlete?
I mean,
in WWE. I mean, he was around when it was WWF.
Yeah.
That guy's got to be like 50, 60
Brad,
years
old. I just got breaking news from Bleacher Report on my phone.
Oh, boy.
It's nothing like the horn sound that we got last Monday. But the Yankees are interested in Manny Machado, and they're kicking the tires with the Orioles on him.
Oh boy.
It is Bleacher Report though.
Bleacher Report. Pat Leonard is pretty good. I mean, most of the stuff he says is pretty accurate. I mean, I'm sure they're asking about him. I mean, Brian Cashman would be foolish not to at least talk to the Orioles about it.
Phillies have reportedly moved on from Manny Machado because the Orioles' asking price is too high.
I can only imagine what they're asking for. I mean, I think that obviously Manny is going to get moved. I just don't see the Yankees getting him. Where are they going to put him? They going to put him at third or short?
Well,
I guess.
Well, from what I heard,
let's
is that he wants
see
to
who
play
they
short.
trade for him.
Yeah.
You got to think if they're trading for Machado, you got to think Andujar is going to be involved.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't trade Andujar for a rental.
Who says he's a rental?
Oh, Machado?
He can't re-sign with the Yankees in the offseason?
Yeah,
Why not?
I suppose he could. I suppose he could, but I mean, that's.
I bet you Andujar and Machado are around the same age.
No. Wait a minute. You know what? Machado is what, 25?
Yeah.
Andujar's 23.
Okay.
Yeah, they are pretty close to the same age.
I'm sure it would take more than that, but
Yeah.
you have all these.
Oh, they'd have to trade more than just Andahar.
I understand, but that's a start.
Yeah, but they're going to end up having to give up half their farm system to get him.
Well, that's not true. You give Andahar, Justice Sheffield, and maybe Florial. You're not doing that for Machado.
Do I have to give up Florial? Can I give him Frazier instead?
Fine, sure.
If they did that, I would do it. I wouldn't trade Florial. Not with Machado. If you're talking about a top pitcher like DeGrom or Noah Syndergaard or somebody of that ilk, yes, but not for a position player. I just don't really.
Do you think the Yankees are better than the Red Sox right now?
No. I don't.
Time to get on the phone, make something happen.
I think I watch the Red Sox offense, and the Red Sox can score any way they want.
Who do you think's better, the Astros or the Yankees?
The Yankees did beat them when they played them. They beat the Red Sox when they played them too. I mean, I have to give the Astros a slight edge right now too because of the pitching.
What about the Indians or the Yankees?
I think the Yankees are better than the Indians at this point.
Okay. So you have the Yankees as the third best team in the American League?
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
Okay,
at this
then who's
point.
better, the Red Sox or the Astros?
I would say the Astros right now.
Okay.
That's close. That's close.
Wouldn't you want to make a move? You got all these prospects.
Oh, I agree. But, Cashman seems to be sticking to his guns about not trading them, which is irritating.
You could trade some of them.
Yeah, they can't all play. That's the problem.
That's been my
I
point
think-
all season.
I think the other problem is I think they've got to get. It's time to send Sonny Gray back to the West Coast, and cut your losses with him because I just think he's lost. He's not going to be successful in New York.
Well, you're always. How can you do that when you're always talking about how they don't have enough starting pitching?
Well, no. If they make a move and get some pitching, I think then they'll have to go out.
Okay, but if you're getting Manny Machado, you're not getting much else.
If that's the only move they make, it's not enough.
I think you're out of your mind.
I think they do need to get another starting pitcher. My concern with the Yankees is this, okay? I'm concerned about, like today, CC Sabathia on the road as opposed to CC Sabathia at home. CC Sabathia, when he pitches at home in Yankee Stadium, is almost always dominant.
But if you're in the wild card game, obviously Severino's going to pitch.
Severino's going to pitch, and I have the utmost confidence that he will
and he's
beat
probably unless
anybody that he will beat James Paxton. James Paxton is not going to Yankee Stadium and beating the Yankees. The Yankees have already faced James Paxton this year in Yankee Stadium, and the Yankees beat him up. He was out by the fifth inning. He cannot.
I'd agree. The Yankees are a far better team than the Mariners.
I agree.
But then what? They're
going to have to find a way to beat the Astros and to beat the Red Sox.
Then you got Tanaka in Game 1, and then CC in Game 2, and then Severino's ready again.
Right, but in a 5-game series, that means Severino only pitches once instead of twice. That's a problem. There is a big drop off from Severino to any other pitcher on the Yankee staff as far as starting goes. There just is.
So who do you get? There's no good starters out there besides the guys on the Mets.
That's the problem because none of them are going to be. If none of them are available, I'm not giving.
Cole Hamels would be cheap. I would trade for Cole Hamels before Hap.
No, he would be. He stinks. He stinks. Come on. Could you imagine what would happen to him if he pitched at Fenway Park?
Well, who would you rather have in Fenway Park, Sonny Gray or Cole Hamels?
I'd rather actually pitch Domingo Germán. I would rather or Loizica and give them a shot before I would go with Hamels. Or Gray. I think both those guys have proven to be pretty good young pitchers.
All right, so you're not getting
I don't like
the Mets
either one of those guys.
You're not getting the Mets pitchers.
No.
So who?
What about Snell?
He's probably going to be more expensive than Machado.
He's a guy, whatever it takes.
How can you want him? He didn't even make the All-Star team.
Oh, come on now. He's still an awesome. Listen, that guy shut out the Red Sox. for 8 innings in Tampa Bay. He beat the Red Sox at Fenway
He's
Park
beaten
this
the
year.
Astros in
He's
Houston.
beaten the Astros. Okay.
He ended their winning streak.
Yeah, the only team that's beaten him up this year is the Yankees. They beat him up twice this year. But other than that, he has proven he can get Boston out, and he's proven he can get the Astros out. And I mean, he's just a phenomenal pitcher, and he's left-handed. And in Yankee Stadium, a left-hander in Yankee Stadium. Not to mention the fact that the Boston Red Sox record this year against left-handers is not all that impressive. That would be the move, because I think he's the only one that might be available, as much as I hate to say it. And you know what? I mean, the thing is, Cashman is going to have to understand that he's going to have to lose that trade. He can't try to win that trade, because if you try to win that trade, it's not going to happen.
What do you mean he's going to win it? You're getting a maybe the Cy Young winner in the AL.
I know, but you may have to give up 5 or 6.
Who's 25?
But you may have to give
He's
up 5 or
25,
6.
and he's not making any money.
I know, but I'm just saying you're going to have to Brian Cashman is going to
Prospects
have to
are
understand.
what they are. They're prospects. Yeah, they look good on paper. Yeah, I enjoy reading MLB Pipeline when they come out with new lists and the ranking show on the MLB Network. But potential gets GMs fired.
Oh, I agree with you.
The
No,
word
Rob,
potential gets
Rob,
GMs fired.
I told you.
Why would you not? Give him 5
would-
prospects for Blake Snell.
I
Are you
would.
kidding me?
I would. I don't know if Cashman would, though. I would. I would give up. I would give them basically whoever they want. They could have anybody except for Gleyber Torres.
And that's fair. So Andahar would go.
I don't have any problem with that.
Florial would go.
That's fine.
Sheffield would
Sheffield?
go.
Fine.
Frazier would go.
Fine. No problem.
And if half of them work out, then it's an even trade. The only way you lose that trade is, A, you can't judge the trade until 5 years from now.
No, I
And
agree with you.
If all those guys work out and Snell pulls a Randy Johnson and just can't handle New York, which there's no reason to think he won't be. The guy's
No, he's got
he's
he-
got
he's
2
a killer.
losses, a
That guy's
1
a
whip,
killer. He's a
and
killer.
over a strikeout per inning in Tampa.
Yeah, he's a killer.
Could you imagine if he's on the road, pitching on the road, and the Yankees go out and put a 4 spot up in the top of the first, and Snell's pitching?
Yeah, the game's
It's
over.
done.
Exactly. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. See, and I
And then
wanna
you'd push.
have
Then
him
you'd push Tanaka,
to the 3 spot, to the 3 hole in the playoffs.
right? And he would pitch Game 2 of the playoffs if he can't overtake the Red Sox. But
And
if
that would be-
if you get Snell, you're probably gonna overtake the Red Sox.
There's a possibility they could do that. Yes, I would agree with you. Snell, if you put Snell though in Game 2 and Tanaka in Game 1, or vice versa, I mean, I'd be very comfortable with that.
I mean, I don't think the Phillies have the horses to get a guy like Snell.
I don't know what the Phillies farm system is, Rob. I for me to make statements about the Phillies,
It's good on paper,
is
but
not-
I don't.
It's not really fair.
I don't
because
really buy it.
I don't know what their farm system looks like anymore. I know the Yankees farm system. They've got a lot of guys in their farm system who are really, really good
They
prospects.
had a couple guys make the futures game, but I mean,
Don't they have a pitcher who's supposed to be very good?
Sixto Sanchez.
Yeah, that's the one.
He seems to always be hurt. Yeah, I don't know about him. I would trade him in 5 seconds to get a guy like Snell or Machado in
Oh,
here.
yeah. Well, especially Snell.
Sixto Sanchez and Odubel Herrera for Manny Machado. Does that get it done, Frank? What do you think of that?
You know, as a rental?
Ooh,
As
that's,
a rental?
that's tempting
As a rental?
as a rental.
Well, Brad, he's a rental now. The
No,
Phillies
no,
are
I'm
paying
not
no
saying,
one.
I'm not saying the Phillies. I'm saying
Oh,
if you're
man.
Baltimore, if
You just
you're
keep adding
Baltimore-
zeros. If you're the Phillies and you get Machado, you just keep adding zeros onto the contract
Oh,
offer
yeah,
until
absolutely.
he friggin' says yes.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, and he could definitely sign with the Phillies. I could see the one thing the Phillies have done this year, which Philly fans should be tickled pink about this year, is the fact that they have gotten to the point where they are a good team now, and free agents will come to Philadelphia.
They've done. Yes, they have. They have
They
done
will
that.
Come. That's the one thing, and you and I were talking about that. At the
I didn't
beginning
think
of the
they had
season.
it in them in
They
preseason,
needed-
so
they
I'm
needed-
extremely
Yeah,
surprised.
they needed
Tickled pink, as
Yeah.
as some would say.
Yeah, they needed to get. Sorry about that, but
That's all right.
they needed to get to that point, because if you're going to get free agents here, you got to be good.
Right.
They're
I
not
don't
just gonna
understand.
come
I don't
here.
understand how this team's good. I don't understand how this team has 50 wins. They seem to find a new guy every day to come out of the bullpen that I've never heard of.
Well, that's you know what
Herrera's not even leading the team in batting average anymore. Maikel Franco is.
Maikel Franco does have a lot.
Hoskins is a beast, but Hoskins should be playing first base. Carlos Santana was a dumb signing. It was just dumb. Rhys Hoskins should be playing first base every day.
They only signed him for 3 years, though.
Yeah, at $20 million per. That's ridiculous. I said it. One of the only Phillies fans that criticized that signing. One of the only Phillies fans that criticized the Scott Kingery signing.
Scott Kingery, that one I didn't really understand because there
made
was
no sense.
It
made no sense. Cesar Hernandez is fantastic. His on base is over 350. He's got 14. He stole his 14th base this afternoon.
If you're the Orioles,
great leadoff hitter.
If you're the Phillies and Orioles, don't you think the Orioles would probably want him as part of your Manny Machado package?
I would give up Kingery in a trade for Machado before Cesar.
Okay, but I'm just saying.
I really would.
If you're the Orioles, you have to look at his upside and say, hey,
Kingery can't hit a breaking pitch. He can't hit a breaking pitch.
He's very young still.
I understand that.
He's very young.
Well, let him figure it out in Baltimore, and we'll take Machado.
And you know what? Every time you hang a breaking ball in Baltimore, that's going to be a home run because that ballpark is just so conducive to home runs.
And then well, it's a shame because J.P. Crawford was just figuring things out, it seemed like, and then he got hurt again. I don't remember his exact injury, but he's out for 4 to 6 weeks. Oh. He got hit on the band with a pitch a few weeks back, and then he's out again. So he seems to always be injured. And Franco, he's one of the hottest third basemen going right now.
Well, Franco obviously
so you
has figured it out. So you don't need to bring in why are you so fixed on Mike Moustakas? Mike Moustakas is like a 259, 260 hitter. Okay, he strikes out a lot. He's not hitting a lot of home runs this year. I think he's only got 14.
The Phillies don't need to address third base at this point.
Exactly. And
Maikel Franco's on fire. He's on fire.
And he might play first base. Big deal. You don't need Mike Moustakas.
Well, you have 3 years, $20 million in Santana at first base.
So you don't.
And you have a first baseman who plays left field.
That's a guy you should have no interest in.
I don't think they need if Franco keeps hitting like this and lives up to his potential, from the player that he was in 2016, there's no need to add a third baseman. You have Franco, which I'm fine with.
I agree with you 100%.
So I don't need Adrian Beltre. I don't need Mike Moustakas. I need a relief pitcher.
And there are plenty of them available.
I like Hand a lot from San Diego. I like Iglesias from Cincinnati, even though I actually don't think the Reds are that far off from being a good team. If they do something in the offseason. They started the season 3-21, and they're still.
I've watched a couple of games that he's pitched. Boy, he is just.
He's a closer. What do you mean?
But he's always so shaky when he comes in.
He's 26 and controllable.
I know, but he's always coming in. He's one of those guys that pitches in and out of trouble all the time, and I just hate pitchers like that. I like to see
I would prefer Hand, but I don't know if the Reds are probably going to stand pat.
Yeah,
they score a lot of runs.
I think that
Harvey's been pitching well.
Harvey's going to get traded. They'll trade him. They'll flip him.
You think? I mean,
yeah, he's definitely.
What they trade? Gave Devin Mesoraco for him.
They got him basically.
I mean, I guess, but he's pitching well.
Yeah, no, I know that, but this is also his last year of his contract.
Okay, then that makes sense. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, his contract is up this
year.
So
I need a right fielder.
In Philadelphia. What about Adam Jones?
Can he play right field? I mean,
well, he's played center and left.
I guess he can. I mean,
he was a Gold Glove center fielder. I think a Gold Glove.
He's a rental.
Yeah, well, you're not going to have to trade that much for him.
That's fine. I need Brad Hand.
Brad Hand is definitely available from what I've heard.
And I need an upgrade over Nick Williams in right field.
Okay. As far as Brad Hand goes, though, understand that you're also going up against the Houston Astros, who really want him.
Cool. That's why I pay a general manager to get shit done. Go get shit done.
I'm just saying.
I understand.
I'm just saying. I know the Houston Astros are going to be the one team that you're going to have to fight to get them. So that's they're I know they're hot and heavy.
How about your Mr. American League? Is Zach Britton pitching well off the disabled list?
he's been very. He almost blew the game today, and he almost blew the first game, but he was able to hang in there. Although comical managing by Aaron Boone in the ninth inning, but you know.
Well,
he was
you're
able
going
to
to
get out of it.
criticize Aaron Boone unless the Yankees go 162-0.
No, there are some games he legitimately loses on with that. I mean, I didn't blame him for the Sonny Gray game on Friday. It wasn't his fault. Sonny Gray stinks.
But
I don't ever blame him for Sonny Gray. He has to throw Sonny Gray out there because Cashman got him, and Cashman basically tells him you have to pitch him. So what is he supposed to do? You know, I mean that's kind of what it is right now. I mean, though I do
can you deal with Clintack? We'll give him to you, and we'll take Cashman.
The only problem I have.
How about we do
with
this for the
Cashman-
trade deadline? Cashman and Boone for Kapler and Clintack.
No, that's okay.
See?
But
This
but
is why people hate
the
Yankees
problem-
fans,
the
because
problem
you
with
just
Cashman-
freak out over the stupidest shit.
But the problem with Cashman is that he doesn't let his manager
Sonny Gray did pitch
manage.
well for you guys last year after he was traded for.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
And
He was
I
pretty
don't know.
good.
There's no talking sense
But,
to you
you
when
know,
it comes to,
I
comes
think
to
if
your
you're
Yankees.
it seems like if your last name is Gray this year, you stink. I mean, the guy in Colorado, look at him. He's in the minors now. That's where Sonny should be right
So
now.
I guess my National League World Series pick is not panning out too well in the
Uh,
Colorado Rockies.
The Colorado
No,
Rockies have
not
really
good.
struggled lately, but it is a long season.
It is.
It's a long season. You
But
never
they're not.
know.
They're worse than the Giants. I mean,
But
they
how
stink.
many games out are they?
Terrible
Four or five,
pick.
4 or 5 games?
I'd have to look it up. I think they're
Well,
I think they're more than 5 games below 500.
they are? I
The
thought
Rockies,
they
they're
were
not.
like one
They're
or two
not
games-
good.
I thought they were like 1 or 2 games over 500. I didn't realize they were that bad.
Not doing well.
That's a little surprising.
Unless I misread the standing. Here, we'll pull it up right here.
All right, MLB standings. I have it Googled.
They are 2 games over 500. I apologize.
Yeah, that's what I thought. They're
They're
how many-
3.5 back in the West. So maybe my pick's not dead.
They're also 8-2 in their last 10.
So they've been playing well.
They've definitely picked it. You're right though. At one point, I mean, if they're 2 games over 500, that means they were
After
4
going 8 and
They
2.
were 4 games. Yeah, they were 4 games under 500. So you just didn't account for this latest hot streak. The San Francisco Giants are 47.
They're 2
and
games over
45.
500.
Yeah, they're also 2 games over.
How about
500.
if I told you that the Nationals, the Giants, and the Rays would have pretty much the same record going into the All-Star break? You
I
would
would
have thought I
laughed
was
you out of
nuts.
this room.
That's the
And
manager.
accused you of putting of not putting down the crack pipe.
Too much recreational drugs.
Yes, exactly.
Drugs are bad, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Let me ask you. Here's another team that I have to ask you about. Possibly selling the St. Louis Cardinals.
Well, I don't think the Cardinals are good at all.
Okay.
Dexter Fowler's fallen off a cliff. Marcelo Zuna has not been as
Okay,
advertised.
Let me ask you about
Matt Carpenter is old.
Let me ask you about Marcelo Zuna. Possible trade ship.
I mean, that's up to the. Where's Chromo when you need him? I mean,
'cause I'm just wondering because
They're
you know,
3 games over 500. They're 7.5 back in the Central.
they look terrible. I mean, you know what? That's the one team that the Atlanta Braves beat.
They're 3.5.
beat-
So no, they're
beat
not
the
going to
crap
sell.
out of 'em.
I mean,
They're not good though.
realistically, with
they're
the addition of the
7.5
second, first off,
games.
the addition of the second wild card was was that Manfred or Selig who implemented that?
No, I think that was Manfred.
Was it?
Yeah.
Genius idea.
Oh yeah. Keeps a lot of
Absolutely
cities-
genius.
Keeps, a
Keeps
lot of
everything
cities
interesting.
involved.
Because you look at the National League wild card, there's way more than 6 teams for 5 spots. Because you go all the way down to the Nationals, who are 45 and 44, 4.5 back. San Francisco's 47 and 45, 4 games back. Colorado's 46 and 44, 4 games back. St. Louis is 46 and 43, 3.5 games back. The Dodgers are 48 and 41, 7 games over 500. They're 1.5 back. Phillies occupy the second wild card at 49 and 39. I'm not
Phillies
sure.
occupy the first or
Second wild card. I'm not sure if this takes into account their loss to the Mets this afternoon.
yeah, it does.
And then the Cubs are 51 and 36, 2.5 clear of the wild card. I mean, after the Nationals at 45 and 41, those are the teams that should be selling. The Pirates, the Reds, maybe not the Reds because their record's skewed because of their terrible start. San Diego should be selling. The Mets should be selling, and the Marlins should be selling.
The Marlins don't really have any outfielders, though.
But 1, 2, so that's 5 teams out of 15 in the National League
I'll tell you what.
that are completely who I would consider have no chance at the playoffs.
I'll tell you a first baseman. If I'm the Yankees, a first baseman that I would be looking at, because they've been talking about first base, is Justin Bour. I think his swing.
He's
at
great.
Yankee Stadium,
This Greg Bird is lost.
Greg Bird is just not. He's not getting it done. And you know they made some. I saw some funny jokes about Greg Bird, and there was one where a fan was sitting in a box seat, and it was just a picture of a skeleton, and the caption was, "I'm still waiting for Greg Bird to get hot." And it's like, we're sitting there and like, what is this guy? He had so much promise, but it just doesn't seem like he can hit. Not consistently enough to stay in the major leagues, at least. I mean, there's got to be a point. I think Justin Bour, you put him in that lineup, he would bounce off
Significant
that lineup
upgrade.
beautifully. Plus, I mean, Derek Jeter is the GM. I'm sure.
Put the fix in another bullshit trade for get Stanton for nothing. Now they get Bour for nothing.
Well, Stanton kind of fell into their laps. They weren't even looking to get Stanton, to be quite honest with you. I mean, Stanton also turned down a trade to St. Louis. He turned down a trade to the Giants. And then all of a sudden, they came to the Yankees, and the Yankees were like, "Oh, all right, we cleared up enough cap room. We can afford him now." So that's kind of what happened with Stanton.
I mean, then you look at the American League. There's a lot more sellers in the American League than.
Oh, there's a ton.
Because, I mean, unless there's a collapse by the Mariners,
I don't see
Yankees, or Red Sox, the American League playoff picture is pretty much going to stand pat.
Well, if you look at
I mean, you have the A's is the only one even close to the A's are 10 games over 500. They're 6.5 back of the Mariners for the second wild card.
Yeah, the Rangers are going to be sellers, but there's really no outfielders to be had there.
I mean, the White Sox don't really have anyone beside. I mean,
well, that's not true.
What if the Yankees traded for
about
Jose Abreu?
What about RV Garcia?
What if the Yankees traded for Jose Abreu? Wouldn't that make sense or no?
The only reason I don't think it would make sense is because he's a right-handed hitter, and I think the Yankees are too right-handed. I think they need to get.
So what? You want to just keep trotting out Greg Bird out there for?
No, I think they need.
I bet you a right-handed.
I'm not saying I wouldn't take him. I'm just saying I think Justin Bour just might be a better fit. I mean
I don't understand how Jose Abreu is better than Justin Bour.
But the Yankees need a left-handed bat in that lineup. They really do. Detroit doesn't really have. I mean, Castellanos, I suppose. The Twins, the Twins.
But I mean, the Angels stink.
What about the Twins? I mean,
the Twins stink. They're not good.
No, and you know what? Buxton got sent back to the minors again, and then Sano is in the minors.
I never understood Buxton. Why he was by far and away the number one prospect in baseball for all those
because
years.
He's so fast.
Okay.
And he's such a great defensive player. And last year, he had a fantastic.
You could be the number one prospect in baseball. You could be a 5-tool player. You got to strike out 10 guys a game.
Last season, in the second half of the season, he was phenomenal. He really had a great.
And they made the
second half.
playoffs.
Yeah, I mean he was great, but I mean the Twins. I can see what happened with the Twins. I mean, listen, if you're going to tell me that your center fielder, who you thought was going to be an all-star this year, ended up getting sent to the minors, and then Miguel Sano out of nowhere went from superstar potential to a class.
Well, I think they're in the process of changing his position. I think that had a lot to do with him being sent down because his power numbers were there, his average was not. Which,
but he was striking out more than Stanton. I mean,
I understand that, but to send him to the minors, I thought that was a little rash. You can teach him how to play first base in the minors when you're not in contention, and then you have the Royals. The Royals and the and the Orioles, they both stink. They're both
The Royals have nothing. I mean,
30 games out of first place.
Alex Gordon stinks.
That was one of the worst contracts of my lifetime when they re-signed Alex Gordon.
Let me ask you a question.
So that's great.
Does
You
Whit
lost
Merrifield
Lorenzo
do
Cain
anything?
and Eric Hosmer
And you kept
and
Gordon.
you kept Alex Gordon. Made no sense.
And you may lose Salvatore Perez too.
Well, he's under contract. They were able to
This
extend
year.
him.
Oh, they did extend
They
him?
extended it, Salvador Perez, not this year, but a few years back. They extended him and
But
they
I think-
extended the
but
shortstop.
But I think he's done after this year.
Maybe.
Perez, I'm pretty sure he is.
Maybe. We'd look it up in the break, maybe. And then Moustakas. I mean, if you don't trade Moustakas, then you're clueless.
Moustakas is going to get traded. The question is,
Whit Merrifield would be a nice addition to someone. They could get he's a very good
Whit
player.
Merrifield would be actually a very good addition for your ball club.
See, now I've heard people say that. Where would he play?
You put him in right.
I mean, I'm all for it. I mean,
Listen.
I wasn't aware he was capable of playing the outfield.
He's been playing center field for the Royals.
Has he really?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, not only has he been playing center field, the guy also has a ton of stolen bases.
He's a
stolen
great
such-
player. I love his
he's
skill set.
He's really good. And that's a guy the Royals have
If you want to put him in center and put that idiot Odubel Herrera in right field, I love Odubel Herrera, but he's not playing good baseball right now.
Well, I mean, look, you could either move him to right, or you could try. Merrifield's never played right. He's been playing center for the.
Well, that's fine.
But I mean, listen, a lot.
I want
of
his bat.
A lot of infielders go to the outfield and they're pretty successful. I mean, look at Robin Yount, perfect example of it. It seems like the infielders can go to the outfield and be successful. It just seems like
So
outfielders
if he
can't
could
go to
play,
the
if he
infield.
could play right field, then I'm all for it because I'm not a Nick Williams
He
fan.
would be a very, very good addition to your team. And he gives you some speed at the top of the line. You're always complaining that you don't think you have a real leadoff hitter. That's a guy.
What are you
that can
talking
lead off.
about? Cesar Hernandez is a fantastic leadoff hitter.
I keep it. Then why were they having the catcher lead off yesterday?
I don't know what they were doing yesterday.
I'm just.
I don't
asking.
know. I don't know.
Because if you had Merrifield,
It was the
he would
most.
He would be your leadoff hitter, and he'd be a perfect leadoff.
No, I
hitter.
would still hit.
Gets on base, steals. A lot of
Whatever. I don't
bases.
care where the computer tells Cap where. I want him I want his skills in the lineup.
Yeah, he'd be a nice player for you.
Then you can put you put Merrifield at the top, Cesar second, Hoskins third, and then have Herrera hit cleanup or fifth.
Yeah, I mean, you guys listen. I always thought you guys had a better lineup than what you thought at the beginning of the season. I thought that your team could hit.
I would.
Yeah.
Whit Merrifield would be a welcomed addition.
There's your guy. I mean, we're both like.
I'm
looking
sure
for
he could
the,
play third if Franco goes cold again. I'm sure he could.
I
could
don't
play.
know about playing third. He played second. He was a second baseman. Playing third, I don't.
Well, the Phillies don't do conventional things. I mean, they hit the catcher leadoff the other day.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay. All right.
they made Kingery play. They made Kingery play shortstop when he hasn't played shortstop since high school. So I mean, convention. I would want his bat in the lineup, his speed on the base paths. And
What about like a guy like Jervis Solarte who can play all over the place? He can play the outfield. He can play third. He can. Play
I need a
center.
right fielder and a starting pitcher. I would keep an eye on if I were Phillies fans is Ivan Nova from the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Ivan Nova.
I mean, he could play. He would start, be a starter, back of the rotation starter. He could pitch in the bullpen for the playoffs. He's under contract next year, so it's not a true rental. He's not going to cost you that much.
I bet the Pirates would probably pay you to take him. I'm not a fan of Ivan Nova. He pitched for the Yankees for a long time.
I know he did, Brad.
He was a very bad pitcher when he was with the Yankees.
I know they did, Brad, but they need
He's really
arms
bad.
in either long
You think
relief
who's better
or
than him?
and I don't think Clintack is going to get unless he can
What about
convince
J-Happ?
the Orioles. We just talked for an hour about how J-Happ stinks.
He stunk in the American League. Maybe in the National League he'd be good. They haven't really seen that much of him in the National
I mean,
League.
if it looks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
I agree. He's got a 4.4 ERA. I mean, he's not.
The only reason I'd be into bringing Cole Hamels back, but is because the sentimentality of it.
Yeah,
Maybe he gets another start
reality-
in the bullpen, but he's not good either.
No, I mean, I would.
Is Ivan Nova? Ivan Nova is going to cost you much less than that. You have him for an extra year. He's only making $4.5 million. He costs you nothing. It's not going to inhibit you.
That's all he's making now.
Unless I read the article on CBS Sports wrong.
$7.5 million his last season with the Yankees.
Well, this isn't his last season with the Yankees.
I'm just saying. I'm surprised he's not. He's making so.
But
little.
that would be an arm. But but I have a feeling that these are the kind of.
What about a guy like Michael Fulmer?
Eh.
I mean, I don't like him at all. I think he's been terrible.
We got to take a break. But Fulmer, I mean, he's going to cost you more than Nova.
Yeah, he is.
He is under control, but I don't think he's that good.
He hasn't been good this year, that's for sure.
At all.
No.
All right, we got to take a break. Sports Hounds will be back on A2D Radio after this exclusively on YouTube. We'll get in the NFL, NHL, and the NBA on the other side. We'll be back after this. Sports Hounds back, taking you till 10 o'clock. Rob Brinkman, Brad Ryer, Frank Vesby producing BMW of Atlantic City Studios. Also brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, certified accountants. Go to gibsonmayer.com.
And just a brief update. The Phillies and Mets are still tied. It is the top of the fifth. The Mets only have one hit so far. It is nothing.
Nothing.
That's the Mets average 2 runs in a week.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
By the
nothing.
way, I have a little note here from Robert Mazzi. Did the Mets have a bye week this past week? And that's basically we're talking. I think he's talking about the Mets' ability to score runs at home. They got shut out twice in a row by the Tampa Bay Rays. That is just not.
That's a what? I don't think anybody heard that.
Okay.
I don't think anyone heard you.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you well.
Robert Mazzi wanted to make a comment about the Mets. He wanted to know if they had a bye week this past week based on their offense at home this past week, where they got shut out like 3 or 4 times. Most recently, got shut out twice by the Tampa Bay Rays, and almost had the El Perfecto thrown at them by Nathan Eovaldi yesterday. Yeah, I think they did, Bob. And by the way, I got to tell you, their manager, Mickey Callaway, he's the only word that comes to mind is retarded. This guy is really, he is an absolute.
He has no talent. What do you mean?
He is a disgrace to baseball. This guy comes in and he loves all his players. They make outs and he's hugging them when they come back to the dugout. When a pitcher gets bombed, he gives them a big hug. What the hell? Are you kidding me? If I was a Met fan,
He has no players. He has no players. What are you talking
tell
about?
you-
What's he supposed to do? Wilmer Flores plays first
How
base.
about sneering at him? How about holding him accountable? How about How about saying something to that big asswipe?
It's like-
Cespedes about getting his ass back in gear and getting on the team. Do you know that he and Gleyber Torres had the exact same injury, and Gleyber Torres is already ready to play?
Who was the who?
And Jonas Cespedes is still out playing golf and not with the team.
Well, Cespedes clearly doesn't want to.
He's an ass. And you know what? Your manager has to jump all over this guy.
Well, the Mets should trade everyone and just start from scratch.
Who wants any of their players, though? Who's other than Asdrubal
You
Cabrera?
think Steven Matz stinks? I completely disagree. I think he would be a great fit for the Yankees and not
Oh, no.
cost you
No.
as much as Syndergaard or DeGrom. I think
Oh,
Zach
I can
Wheeler.
just-
I
can
think
just see
Zach
them- I
Wheeler-
can see them pitching in Boston in Game 2 of a series.
Okay,
Oh, God.
stick with Sonny Gray.
I would rather pitch Domingo Germán or Jonathan Lozano.
You think Domingo Germán's better than Zach Wheeler or Steven Matz?
I don't think
You're an
either one of
idiot.
them- I don't think either one of them are that good. I wouldn't trade for them. What's the point? I don't think
They're
that good.
young and they're.
They're not,
I think you're
they're
way
not-
off base
they're
by
not
by
good
saying
enough.
that they stink.
They're not good enough. They're not good
But
enough.
you don't want Sonny Gray. Who do you want? You want Madison Bumgarner, who's a pipe dream.
He's not going to come on.
You want Blake
Gray.
Snell, who's a pipe dream.
Blake Snell, I don't think is a pipe dream. I think he's gettable. I think it would take a lot to get him. But, I mean, this is what they pay Brian Cashman the big bucks for. Go out and find yourself a pitcher.
I'll tell you what. If you're pitching Zach Wheeler or Steven Matz in Game 3 or Game 2 of a 5-game series instead of Sonny Gray or Domingo Germán, that's a significant upgrade. If you can't recognize that, if you can't see
Game
past
2,
trading with the
he's
Mets
not-
and recognize
he's
that,
not
I
gonna-
cannot help you.
He's not going to pitch Game 2, okay? First of
Whatever.
all-
You know what I
first of
mean.
all, okay, here's the deal. Right now, he'd be pitching Game 4. So that means your season would be on the line in a 5-game series in the first round. And you'd have
So
one of those
it would
guys
be Steven Matz's fault that Severino, CC, and Tanaka would, not pull their end.
If they're down 2-1, I'm just saying, if they're down 2-1, is this the guy you want to go out there and save your season?
No,
definitely
you'd rather
want
pitch Sonny Gray.
No, I wouldn't rather pitch Sonny Gray. I would like
But-
Cashman to try to find somebody who we could actually throw out there, who we
But
could trust.
if
to do
Snell is too expensive, which he's going to be
He's gonna
really
be
expensive,
Really expensive. I agree.
I don't think Chris Archer's worth trading for. I don't. He's injured all the time. He's pitching tonight. I guess we'll see how it goes with him. If he can put together a good month before the All-Star break,
Well,
maybe
I would-
you can
I would
consider
wait-
that.
I would wait and see.
But
what
if you
his
don't
form
think
is.
Steven Matz and Zach Wheeler can contribute to the Yankees starting rotation right now, and you're just going to poo-poo them and say that they stink?
They're not gonna get,
That's
first
not
of all,
true.
The Mets and the Yankees.
That's
are
not true.
The Mets and the
Steven
Yankees
Matz
are not
Steven
going to
Matz
trade.
pitches well night after night. He gets no run support and piles up losses. Zach Wheeler pitched phenomenal against the Phillies today.
Let's see, Bob said, another Bob here says Nola starting to roll, looks good.
No, no kidding.
Well, we would
You get a
expect
split
that
against the
he's
Mets
gonna-
in a doubleheader. That's
we would
fine.
expect that he's
I said it at the top of the show. It's hard to it's hard to split. It's hard to sweep a doubleheader.
Yeah, it is.
I don't care how good
Especially on the road.
one team is and how bad the other team is. It's
Exactly.
hard to sweep
It
a
is.
doubleheader, especially on the road.
Especially on
So
the
they're going to win game 2. Nola's probably going to close damn near a complete game because of what happened in the first game, it going extra innings, and some of the guys got used up a little bit.
If the Mets are not going to score enough runs to beat the Phillies. The Mets just don't have it.
I'm surprised the
can't
Mets have
hit.
a hit against Nola. They stink.
Okay, the Phils right now, according to Bob, have 2 men on with no outs. This is where they usually come up short a lot. With a laugh.
Bob said that.
Bob.
Hey, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. But I mean,
Yeah, no, I
that's fine.
listen, a lot of they're not the only team that has a habit of doing that. I mean, it's right now it seems like the hitting and the batting averages in baseball are at an all-time low.
Well, everyone either hits a home run, strikes out, or walks.
That's what it seems like.
Walks are cool. Walks are
Walks
good.
are good. No,
They don't do anything for your batting average. As it goes
No,
down
but
as not an official at bat.
But your on-base percentage is good.
Right.
So, I mean, that's not a bad thing. Your OPS, it helps your OPS, does it not? Doesn't that count on your OPS?
Well, yeah, it's part of on base.
On
So
base,
you're on
yeah,
base plus slugging.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, that it helps there.
But singles, doubles, and triples, they're still things.
Oh yeah, of course they are. Of course they are.
So that's the one aspect where batting average is not meaningless.
But you take a team like the Red Sox, okay? That's where they're killing everybody. It's not just like the Yankees are very one-dimensional. They hit a lot of home runs and they bury you with home runs. The Red Sox can home run you to death, but they could also double and single you to death. That, to me, that's the difference between the two offenses. And right now, the Red Sox are doing a hell of a job of it because they're winning every game right now. And, you could say that they're beating up bad opponents, but that's what you have to do. When it comes to beating up teams, the Red Sox, I'll give you an example. Against Baltimore, they are 9-1 this year. And the Yankees, going into the second game of this doubleheader, are 3-4. So you want to know why the Yankees are 2.5 games behind as we speak the Red Sox? Look at the performances against Baltimore, and that'll tell you all you need to know. Because the Red Sox have owned Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore can't get them out ever. Ever. So that's the difference right there. And there are some obvious players that you could try to get if you're the Yankees. I mean, Minnesota, you could always try to get a guy like Berrios.
And we got
Maybe
a
they would trade him.
score. We got
Yeah.
Nola doubles on a line drive,
Helping himself.
helping it. And the score is now 3-0.
There you go.
3-0. Wow.
That should be-
3-0, top of the 5, 2 outs.
Yeah, by next Saturday, the Mets might get 3 runs and tie that game.
Phillies on top of the Mets in the top of the 5th, 3-0. The Pirates on top of the Nationals, 6-3. That's end of 6. Red Sox are up 2-0 on the Texas Rangers. Cincinnati Reds keep rolling. They're up 5-1 on the Indians. The Brew Crew up 2-1 on the Marlins. The Rays really dominating the Detroit Tigers. They're up 7-3, bottom of the 6th. Yankees now up 4-0 in the middle of the 5th on the Baltimore
RBI
Orioles.
single by the previously mentioned Greg Bird.
Wow, he woke up. He tried to play. Royals up 1-0 on the Twins. Athletics and Astros locked in a pitcher's duel. That's 0-0. Garrett Cole currently costing a complete gem.
And who he's facing?
I don't think it was Manaya's turn.
No, I don't think Minaya was pitching tonight.
Franklin Montez.
Montez, okay.
Pitching well against the
Yeah, I think
Astros. 0-0.
Montez was a reliever, and I think they
Dodgers and
Made
Padres,
him a
they'll play
starter.
later and the Cubs are visiting the San Francisco Giants on the West Coast swing. So that's the MLB.
That's
tonight.
a big series. That's a big series for both the Cubs and the Giants.
I want to transition a little bit to the NBA here. Did you see those morons in LA? Someone painted a mural of LeBron James because he in a Lakers jersey with a sick pose and everything. And it's these idiot Laker fans, these haters, deface the mural. They wrote 3-6 in the finals, not the king.
You know,
why would you do that? What is that, Ralphie? Did Ralphie do that?
Star?
No, he loves the Lakers. He loves King James.
But if you're bringing in a star, why are you busting his chops?
Because they're fugazi sports fans, and they don't deserve a player like LeBron James.
No,
and I'm going to be crushed till the day I die that he didn't choose the Sixers.
You could criticize Philly fans and Yankee fans or all you want. We would never do that to a guy before he even played. Never.
He's not going to be bad for the Lakers.
No, I don't know why they think he would be bad. That's just ridiculous.
I don't get it.
I
don't get it.
I would love to see the Knicks get LeBron James. I would have been thrilled to see them, even though I know they would never win a championship with him. That's not his fault. At least they'd be a fun team to watch. I mean, Laker fans, their team's been so crappy the last few years. Now they finally have a superstar on their team again.
Yeah, they're going to rip him.
And they're going to sit there and they're going to rip him before he's even played a game.
I'm just sitting by my phone. I'm sitting by my phone waiting for the Sixers to get Kawhi Leonard. Just sitting by my phone. I'm waiting for it. They have to do it.
Yeah. At this point, pull the trigger. I mean,
there's a report that the Sixers are the only East Coast team that he would consider signing an extension with.
That's a good sign.
Who knows if that's true?
And I heard that the Sixers are the favorite to land Kawhi, so I mean, it all depends.
You build up. Bless you. Good one. I heard that.
Wow. Yeah, I
I heard
picked
that.
up well.
There you go.
Woo.
But yeah, I mean, they get Wilson Chandler from the Nuggets in a salary dump, which is a great move. He's a great role player. He actually plays defense. He'll come off the bench.
He can be a very effective player.
It's reported that the Sixers are in the mix for Carmelo Anthony's service whenever he's bought out by the Thunder.
I thought he already was.
No, he opted in for $27 million he had a player option.
I thought that they've already bought him out.
I don't think officially they're going to.
Oh, okay. Because I thought that was.
I mean, would that be the worst thing in the? Would that be the worst thing in the world if the Sixers signed Melo? Everyone hates it on social media.
Why?
It's not the worst thing in the world.
Let me tell you something. You give him the ball in a big spot, and he's either going to score or he's going to get to the free throw line. So when you're closing games, you may take him out for defense, but when you're going and
I would have him
offensively. He's a real good player. You know what? This nonsense.
I would want him to come off the bench.
Yeah.
I would want McConnell, Chandler, and potentially Carmelo Anthony if they sign him to come off the bench.
The nonsense about him.
Kyle
not being
Korver
a
is
team
another
player,
guy I would be looking at if I were the Sixers.
Rob, take a look at how successful he's been as an Olympic player, playing with all the other stars.
It's a valid point.
He's been a
It's a
very
valid
good
point.
team player.
If he ends up going to the Lakers or the Rockets, he's going to do well there too.
He will, because I mean, what, you're going to blame him for the Oklahoma City Thunder not winning a championship this year? Is it his
No,
fault?
they lost to the Jazz in the first round. But the Jazz are a better team than the Thunder.
They're young. They're quicker. They're younger, and they're bigger.
They actually play defense. They're better coached.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is.
I mean, Russell Westbrook, in my opinion, symbolizes the antithesis of winning. He's the antichrist when it comes to winning basketball in the playoffs.
Because he's a hog.
He's a hog. He turns it over too much.
He's a hog. It's always
all he cares about is getting a triple-double.
Yeah, it's always got to be about him, and that's.
I mean, if you can get, well, I'm not sure if Melo would start on the Rockets or the Lakers either, but I think the Sixers starting five for next year is pretty locked in at Simmons, Redick, Covington, Saric, and Embiid at center.
And you're telling me
Obviously,
he wouldn't be a nice sixth player?
Six, yeah, he'd be part of the three key
nice
reserves you would need off the
bench.
bench.
He'd be a nice guy to come off the bench and give you some scoring when you need it. And you know, when you're closing out a game, if one of your other guys is cold and not shooting well, you could bring him in.
Obviously, you might not have. Oh, and Fultz. I didn't mention Fultz. Hopefully, he can give you something next year.
I bet you he will. And you know what, Carmelo, he gets a lot of heat for what happened with the Knicks. Who did the Knicks ever give him?
The Knicks stink.
But who did
they
stunk.
ever?
But who did they ever give him to play with? When he had Amari Stoudemire, they won 54 games. Okay, when
Amari Stoudemire was far from his prime.
Yeah, but at least he was
not even
decent,
close.
But he was a
I
decent
understand.
player, you know, and they won 54 games that year. And then Amari stopped playing because of his back, and you know when he had to do it himself. He's not LeBron, folks. He can't do it by himself. You know, I think he gets criticized way too much because he's not LeBron. Well, you know what? Who is?
No one. There's only one. There's only one best player on the planet. It's LeBron James.
He can't carry a team by himself. But if you're asking him to be a second fiddle or a third fiddle, you got yourself a pretty good guy to do that with. You know, you limit his minutes. You don't make him play defense in a big spot. You'll be fine.
But to me, if the Sixers don't go to the NBA Finals next year, that's a complete failure of a season.
That would be a disappointment because
it wouldn't be a disappointment. We talk about disappointments all the time, and I always try and tell people how the word disappointment and failure are different. That would be an ultimate 100% failure if the Philadelphia 76ers do not represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals next year. A complete failure.
It would be because you know what? At this point, they're too talented not to. I mean, who besides the Celtics? Where's their competition coming from?
You have to trade for Kawhi. You have to leave no stone unturned. Let me ask you this, because Kyle Korver is another guy I would be looking at if I were the Sixers as well. Brett Brown always talks about pace and space. You need shooters. The Sixers don't have a lot of shooters right now. They have Redick. They have Covington when he decides he wants to shoot well. But, you know, Ilyasova and Bellinelli, they're on other teams. If you add Melo and Korver, and you got rid of Ilyasova and Bellinelli, that's basically a wash, no?
I think that might be even an upgrade.
I don't know about that because Ilyasova and Bellinelli, they were really good down the stretch for the Sixers.
Yeah, but Anthony can get his own shot.
I understand.
He can get his own shot. He
I
can
understand.
Go to the basket. The other thing,
and that's definitely something that this team lacks.
The other thing Anthony
unless
does,
Fultz is going to start creating his own shots.
The other thing Anthony does that you guys would love is the fact that he gets to the foul line. He's very good at getting to the line. When he gets the ball, okay, and you do that ISO for him, and he drives the ball to the basket, he's going to get to the line.
And he shoots 77% from the line.
He's a very good foul shooter. So I mean, you can count on him in a spot. If the Sixers are having trouble scoring and they look to the bench for scoring, they're going to give him the ball. And you know what? He's going to get them some points. He's going to stop runs by the other team. And that's a very
and then you added Wilson Chandler for nothing because the Nuggets needed to pay their star center, Jokic.
Wilson Chandler has always been a pretty decent player. He's not a superstar, but he's a decent player.
He plays defense. He can cover multiple positions. He can play multiple positions on offense. It was a great trade.
He can also shoot a little bit.
Right.
I mean, listen, you're not going to have him shoot the final shot, but he can shoot the ball a little bit. He'll get you 10 points a game.
It softens the blow if you have to give up a Covington in a trade for Kawhi Leonard, which I would have no problem doing.
Well, I mean, if you got Kawhi Leonard, then Covington is
and I would be pushing Fultz on the Spurs instead of Saric.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what the Spurs want.
Well, every day, in my opinion, every day that passes that he's not traded, the price goes down. No.
Not yet. Not yet. It is going to get to that point.
I don't know. They need to get. The Spurs are interesting because Tony Parker's on the Hornets now, which is weird that he's not on the Spurs. He signed a free agent contract with the Hornets. They're not going to match.
And Tony Parker is on the Hornets now.
Correct.
So is it possible maybe Kawhi stays now? Because from what I heard,
I
Tony
think
Parker
that might be.
Was 75% of the issue was him and Tony Parker were not.
I think the Spurs have really screwed this thing up.
I just don't
to where
think it's
he's done.
Happen. Not a chance.
Wow, okay. No, I'm just wondering
because I don't think he likes Popovich anymore either.
Oh, okay. Well then, Popovich is going
to
stay.
But I mean, supposedly they're not matching the. I forget what team offered Kyle Anderson an offer sheet, but
it was the Grizzlies.
The Grizzlies.
Yeah.
From what I read, the Spurs are not going to match that, so they're going to lose him. So they have the DeJounte Murray, Manu Ginobili, LaMarcus Aldridge, and whatever they get for Kawhi Leonard.
They still have Patty Mills, don't they?
Yeah, they still have
They
that
still have
Patty
Mills, yeah.
contract.
All right. So I mean, yeah, he's got a big contract though. But I mean, they're no threat really to do anything this year.
They made the playoffs last year in the West.
Barely made the playoffs.
Yeah,
They
but
made
I mean,
the
they're,
playoffs.
But they're not as good as Houston or Golden State,
No,
or the Lakers for that matter.
no.
So I mean,
That's when
I mean, if Kawhi is in there,
that's
maybe.
why you don't alienate your superstars. You
Well, yeah, you
especially
try
in the NBA, the most ego-driven league in of all the sports. You pat
right.
your
You're right
stars
about
on the
that.
butt, and you tell them they're doing a great job, and you try and add to them.
Yeah.
You don't tell them they're being a wuss by not playing and totally alienate them from your locker room.
Baseball, I think, is a sport that you need to do that sometimes.
Well,
I
it's
do
like
think
Pete
in
Rose
baseball, in baseball, you have to hold these guys accountable if they stink. You can't just pat them in the back and say, "Hey, good job."
Well,
That's
Pete Rose once said there's 3 ways to treat people. You can either scold them, pat them on the back, or leave them alone.
okay. Bob says Corver is too much like Reddick for him. That's a criticism, I guess.
I don't agree with that. J.J. Redick is a light years better. Not that J.J. Redick's a good defensive stopper, but he's worlds better than
Reddick can get his
Korver.
own shot. Corver really. I mean, am I wrong?
Korver. I mean, but
Corver doesn't.
J.J.
usually get his own shot.
J.J. Redick doesn't have to come off the bench because he's bad at defense. He's good enough at defense where he can actually start for an NBA team.
But
Kyle Korver can't start.
But he can also get his own shot. He doesn't have to go look for screens and everything else. He can get the ball and create a shot.
I don't know about that.
Oh, he still can.
He's better at it than Korver.
Yeah, well,
but-
Korver is strictly,
He's
you
a
go
catch and
inside.
shoot.
Yeah, you go inside and then
No,
then
Redick
you
still
feed
needs to
it
come off
outside.
screens and stuff like that.
He can't.
You
really
can't
get
you
his
can't
own
run
shot
you can't
anymore?
run an ISO play for J.J. Redick in today's
all
NBA,
right.
and
All right.
you just can't do it. And if Korver could play defense like Redick, he would be a starter in the NBA because he's an excellent shooter. But I mean, you need bodies. You still have to replace Ilyasova and Bellinelli
Listen.
and
it's
trade
still-
for Kawhi.
It's still early.
You can't leave stones unturned this offseason.
Okay.
You have to go to the finals next year,
Is Brett
or
Brown
it's a
gonna
failure.
Let me ask you a question: is Brett Brown going to be the one to do that, or are they going to hire a GM first? Just curious.
I haven't heard a gosh darn thing about them looking for a GM, so I guess they're happy with what Brett
All right.
Brown
No,
did.
I'm just wondering because it just seems like I'm wondering if they're definitely going to continue on with him or they're going to go another route.
I would imagine they're going to get a GM in there eventually. But, I mean, they let Brett Brown do the draft. I like what they did. I like what they did at the draft.
I think
I know they traded Bridges, who played at Villanova, but
I
if
think
Bridges
it's a
played
good
for any
idea.
other college in America besides Villanova, no one would care about the trade. You pick up an extra pick in
You are
2021.
you're absolutely
And you get
right
Zaire
about that.
Smith, who's been, I know it's summer league, but he's been playing solid. It's better than doing
Listen,
bad.
There is something to be said about playing well in the summer league.
Really? Because Furkan Gomez had the city buzzing after his 40-point performance in summer league debut. He hasn't made a shot since, and that's not an exaggeration. He went 0 for 7 in the second game, and then he went 0 for 8.
I'm not talking about one game though. I'm talking about having a good summer league
Right.
in general.
And it looks like this guy they stashed a couple years ago from Israel, Jonah Bolden, he's having a solid summer league. It looks like he's ready to come over. So you need a spot for him. So they have bodies to fill the roster spots if you want to trade Fultz, Covington, and 2 picks for Leonard.
I think that they.
I would try like hell to keep Dario Saric, but if I have to give him instead of
look,
Fultz, then
they're-
I would still do it.
They're going to find somebody. They're going to find a partner to trade with. It may not be the player that you absolutely want, but it may be a guy that none of us see on the radar. But they're going to go out. They're going to bring somebody in here who's going to make a difference for that team. Now the question is who. That I don't know.
Leonard. I don't want Jimmy Butler.
Okay, well,
I don't want Jimmy Butler. Does Jimmy Butler do anything for you, Frank?
I think
Not
Jimmy
really.
Butler's a pretty good player.
I mean,
I don't know if he's going to make a difference to beat the Celtics for you guys.
I don't think it'll be enough.
I don't
Boston.
know that he puts you over the top. Kawhi Leonard does if he's healthy.
But I mean, who else? But you had such an opportunity where 3 top 10 players in the NBA were available to get this offseason: LeBron, Paul George, and Kawhi. And the coach told you needed to start to contend. So if you don't get, you have to go to the finals next year.
Well,
with LeBron in LA out of the East, you have to go to the finals. The time is now. You need to get Kawhi Leonard in here. You need to bring in other pieces to help complement the Sixers roster with Kawhi Leonard, and you got to go beat Boston and go to the finals.
The more you hear, the more you're inclined to think that he might be coming here. Because the Spurs really don't want to trade him in the West.
No, I wouldn't want to trade him in the conference either.
And if it's another team in the West, it's probably going to be the Clippers, because the Clippers are like one of the heavily favored Western Conference teams to get Leonard. So
well, he wants to play in L.A. and what the media, what ESPN and the national media don't show you about the quote when he said he wanted to play in L.A. He said he wants to play for the Lakers or the Clippers, but everyone just latches on to that.
To the Lakers.
Just the Lakers, because. Well, I mean, if you look at the star power, I would rather be on the Lakers than the Clippers.
Right,
at this
but
point.
It's the Lakers. If you asked, people from third world countries over in Europe and Asia and what have you, if you asked them to name an NBA team, I bet you the most popular answer would be the Lakers.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
But then there's reports that he doesn't really want to be on a super team with LeBron James,
which I can understand.
You know, the problem with the Clippers is.
But this is why, because
who's on the
Clippers?
Blake Griffin is on the.
But
on
he
Detroit
he
now,
doesn't.
Right?
Yes, but Kawhi doesn't care. He wants his money, and he wants to play where he wants. And obviously, he's going to lead the Clippers to the playoffs because he is that good of a player.
The problem is, he's been acting like such a prima donna. It makes me worried to think that if you
he's
trade
good enough
him,
to.
But if you trade for him, suppose he decides he doesn't want to play for you. I mean, that's the only problem. I mean, I just would be a little worried because he's really he's taken an awfully stern approach to this whole thing.
He strained his quad. His quad is fine. He could have played last year. He did play last year.
So what
he don't want to play. He don't want to play for him. He's being a prima donna. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, he's being kind of a.
But you can't ignore his talent.
No, I
he's a top 3 player in the league. I think he's the second best player in the league behind LeBron James. And I think it's the Sixers owe it to the fans to make it happen.
You think he's better than Durant?
I do, yes.
Okay, all right. I mean, listen, if you think he's better than Durant, the Sixers have to do whatever it takes. And I've been saying this phrase about the Yankees. I'm going to say.
Well, he's been first team all defense twice. He's been first team all NBA twice.
Whatever it takes, as long as it does not include Wade Simmons. Bless you.
Wayne Simmons? You mean Ben Simmons?
Ben Simmons. I'm sorry. As long as it doesn't include Ben Simmons.
They can have Wayne Simmons too if it gets me Kawhi Leonard. That's fine.
Well, Wayne Simmons.
All for it.
Wayne Simmons has to be right next to the basket to score, like
there
he
we go.
does in hockey.
But yeah, good one, Brad. It's just funny. You know why it's funny? Because it's true. But I mean, for there to be 3 top 10 players available for the Sixers to take the next step, and you to get 0 of them,
well, you can't whiff on it at this point. I do think at some point it's gonna end up that they're gonna get him. I think it's pretty much inevitable because they're not gonna want to trade him to the Western Conference. It's pretty obvious that that's not gonna happen. And I think
unless they trade him to the Clippers, I don't think they're gonna trade him to the Lakers. I don't think the Lakers have the horses to get him.
Yeah, well, the Clippers
because
then
you trade for Leonard. Yeah, you have Kawhi and LeBron.
How are they gonna have the money to pay for him?
Well, they're not paying anybody.
With the Lakers?
Yeah. They're paying LeBron.
I thought some of the other guys that they just signed are paying now.
I mean, they're like 1 year, nothing deals.
What about Isaiah Thomas?
He's a free agent.
He's a free agent.
Yeah. He's not going to be back there.
Oh, boy. wonder where he ends up.
I mean, Rondo's a 1-year deal. Lance Stevenson was a 1-year deal.
Yeah, they're not making any money.
Lonzo Ball's on a rookie deal. Kyle Kuzma's on a rookie deal.
So they're not paying
JaVale
anybody.
McGee, they signed for 1 year.
They're not paying anybody then.
They missed out on Boogie. He went to the Warriors. He would be making some money if he went to the Lakers.
Was only making $5 million with the Warriors.
Right. Supposedly the Lakers offered him 2 years, $10 million, and he turned it down and went to the Warriors for the 1-year deal.
He wants his championship ring. That's what.
Well, no, he wants to prove to everyone he's healthy and then get the max.
Right, but he also wants his championship ring too.
I think that's just icing on the cake that they're that good.
Oh, okay, all right.
I think he wants his money.
And
then he's locked in.
Correct me if I'm not. Durant is going to be an unrestricted free agent next year.
Right, because he just signs 2 years, $54 million deals with an opt-out clause after 1 year, and then
Kyrie is going to be a free agent next year.
Correct.
And so is Jimmy Butler.
Correct.
So there's going to be a lot of actually Klay Thompson
and Draymond Green have yet to sign extensions with the Warriors.
The Warriors can't afford to pay all these guys. They're going to have to let somebody go. There's going to be a lot of guys next season who are going to be available. So, I mean, listen, I understand your impatience in wanting to win this year. I get all that.
No, if they didn't lose on purpose for 4 straight years, I would be much more patient and say, okay, we'll get one of these guys next year.
All I'm saying.
You lost for 4 years and told me to trust the process. Now there's 3 top 10 players out there.
All right,
you're not going to get any of them?
Well, all I'm saying is keep in mind, you don't want to just take on a bad contract when you've got all these guys that are going to be free agents next year. I mean, there's a real good chance.
Kawhi Leonard's light years better than anybody who's going to be a free agent next year. Light years better. Not even
Durant.
Durant's not going to come to Philly.
Why?
He's going to keep re-signing with the Warriors because he's soft. Kevin Durant's soft. He can't handle the Philadelphia market. He can't handle the Boston market. He can't handle the New York or Philly market. He's too soft.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, okay. What about Kyrie though? He'd be a nice pickup.
Is he ever healthy? When's he healthy? I'm gonna give a guy $200 million who's on the injured list half the time.
Well, when he wasn't on the injured list, he helped Cleveland win a championship. So there's no denying his talent.
But he wouldn't have won that championship without LeBron James and vice versa.
Well, they were a dynamic duo. But I mean, how good would he be?
I'm just saying, he left Cleveland because he wanted the ball in his hands all the time. He ain't going to have the ball in his hands in Philly. Ben Simmons is going to have the ball in Philly.
Do you think maybe he grows up now when it comes to Philly?
No.
I mean, no? You don't think so? Because
no.
I think maybe he
grows
up.
If you don't grow up playing next to LeBron James going to the finals every year, I mean, that's pretty much
okay.
the benchmark of growing up.
Rob, you know the point I'm just trying to make.
Playing off the ball and going to the finals every year.
I would think that
Cleveland.
You guys just would want to be careful about signing somebody to a long-term contract because you don't want to get involved in something when there's going to be.
What do you mean, like Jimmy Butler or Kyrie Irving?
Oh, maybe, but there's a lot of guys who are going to be available at the end of this season, the season coming up, that might be able to improve your team. Now, I don't know what the status is.
You can sign them too, because the NBA is a joke.
Yeah, no, I know, but I mean, I think Wall going to be
Wall is in Washington for a while.
Oh, he is. What about Beal?
Beal, that's another guy. He's always hurt. You talk about not getting involved with the potentially bad contracts. Literally every guy you've named is either unavailable because he's locked up or super injury prone. Jimmy Butler missed 6 weeks last year. The Wolves almost didn't even make the playoffs.
He does get hurt a lot. He's also
Kyrie Irving. I mean, the reason
Kyrie Irving got
Kyrie
hurt
Irving's hurt all the time. Played one game in college. He's been getting hurt for his whole life.
Yeah,
I think he's going to change now to give him $200 million.
No, and as he gets older, he's going to get hurt more and more. You're right.
Klay Thompson would be interesting, but I would be shocked if he ever left Golden State.
But, Rob, they can't pay everybody.
That's fine. When he becomes available, I'm not going to sit here and hold my breath for someone
who
might be available when I have Kawhi Leonard, who's a top 3 player in the league, sitting in San Antonio and wants out, and you have the assets to get him.
Actually, all 5 of their guys after this season are going to be free agents.
Steph's not.
When is Steph's?
Steph just signed the 5-6 year.
Yeah, okay.
He's making $40 million a year for the rest of his life.
Yeah, okay. I forgot about that. Okay, so he already signed, but the rest of the team, the other 4 starters are all going to be free agents after this year. They can't pay everybody max.
Well,
contracts.
Cousins will be gone.
Okay, right.
He'll have a good stretch run, good playoffs for the Warriors. They'll win the championship, and then someone will give him max money. Maybe your Knicks.
Oh God, crazy.
He's a great player.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but and then crazy ass is going to be gone.
Draymond
Green, crazy.
I don't see him taking a pay cut to stick around. No, but
yeah,
this is why they have a GM.
I know, but
and it doesn't help.
But they can't keep everybody.
But Durant's too much of a wuss to be the man on a team that he's going to be taking less money to keep the team together. He's been doing it for years already. He's not going to stop.
Yeah, he probably won't.
He's a wuss. He couldn't beat the Warriors with the Thunder, so
right.
he went to the Warriors.
Because he didn't want to have to face the music every year.
Right.
Soft.
He is soft.
Chicken.
Kevin Durant is soft.
Chicken.
I said it last week. Kevin Durant is a fantastic player. He's a top 3 player in the league. He's not a killer.
Well, Kawhi is a killer when he wants to play. I'd be very careful about him. I would just want to make sure that he definitely wants to play this year, and he wants. If the Sixers sign, he's not going to be an ass and not show up or sit out the year because he's just an ass. That's the only thing I'd be worried about with him.
Well, if he gets traded to the Sixers and acts like an ass, what team's going to give him $200 million?
Nobody. That's true. That's true. He still has to go.
He's got to prove his leg is good and his mind is right to get the money he wants.
Yeah, that's true.
From the 2 teams that he wants.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? He may like it here.
That's what happened. Remember when the Oklahoma City Thunder traded for Paul George?
Yeah.
Everyone, what are they doing? He's just going to be a Laker. He's going to be a Laker in 2 years.
Yeah.
What a dumb trade for a rental.
Yeah,
well, they got him in the building. He liked playing with Russell Westbrook. They had a good season. They made the playoffs. He liked the city.
Yeah.
So he signed for 4 years, $137 million.
What's not?
Why can't that happen with Kawhi Leonard in Philadelphia?
Yeah, what's not to like about playing here? I mean, the fans are intense.
The fans are fair though.
Yeah, but
they don't boo people who don't deserve it.
Oh, I agree with you. No, I mean, listen, the fans are passionate. They care. Okay, there's plenty of real nice places to live around here.
Very true.
Yeah, I mean, what's there not to like? Seriously, I mean, see.
It's not L.A., which, if you ask me, that's a
all right. It's
point
not
for
LA.
Philly there.
It's not L.A., but
there are a bunch of idiots out there in California. Good God.
They are. I mean, but the weather's better in L.A., and I guess he could play more golf if that's what he wants to do. But I mean, you are a basketball player first, aren't you?
For the time, the short span of his life, these players' lives that actually get spent playing professional sports. Yeah,
unless
unless
you're Jonas Cespedes, I mean, most guys play the sport that they're being paid to play a lot more than they should be golfing. Just saying.
I mean, whatever. That's the Mets' problem.
That's
not my problem.
I like to make little comments about him because guys like that, and I hate the Mets, but guys like that disgust me. You're making all that money and pulling that crap. That's awful. But that's basically
it's not ideal.
That's what Kawhi Leonard is kind of doing to the Spurs.
But Cespedes, when they first got, I mean, if Daniel Murphy doesn't make all those errors in that World Series, they would have a ring with Cespedes.
If Daniel Murphy didn't hit 50 home runs in the playoffs, they wouldn't be in the World Series either. So you can't really blame him totally on that.
Those errors were really bad, though.
I know. Well,
I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
He's a terrible fielder. We all know that. But let's be honest. Was he not crushing the ball in the playoffs?
He's an outstanding hitter.
Yeah, he.
I thought the Mets were idiots for not re-signing him.
I thought that they were too. I thought that was. I think they should have just put him at first base. But That's just me, Rob.
Like,
Maybe I'm crazy.
That's their
but-
problem.
Yep. And I'll tell you what. He's another guy that really has not looked. He hasn't looked healthy this year.
I want to get
Getting
some.
back to the Nationals, I just wanted to say, he's a guy that really doesn't look healthy to me. I
mean,
think they forced him back way too soon.
You might be right, but I wanted to talk about the NFL a little bit here because I saw an interview on Wingo and Golick this morning with Russell Okun, who's I guess the player rep for the Seahawks, and these NFL players there's going to be a work stoppage when this collective bargaining agreement is over, and football is going to be taking a long break because they should be getting guaranteed contracts. The players are starting to realize they should be getting guaranteed contracts. And if I were the players, I wouldn't step foot on a football field until I got guaranteed contracts.
That is
be a big
never going to happen.
Why not?
Because football is a high-risk, high-injury game. And
Even more reason for it to be guaranteed.
listen, if you're a player, I agree. I'm just saying
There's
to
going to be
you,
a big work stoppage in the NFL. The players are not going to show up unless they get guaranteed money.
I mean, that's something that they have
Maybe
to
the
work out.
contracts will be worth less, but it'll be guaranteed.
But isn't that something that you just have to negotiate when you're negotiating a contract with the team that you're playing for?
I'm just the
I mean,
sheer
as far as-
principle of it.
Listen, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm not.
It'll be a big work stoppage in the NFL. You mark my words. It'll be a big strike.
I think there may be more of a strike because of what's going on with the kneeling crap than.
Because if you give the players guaranteed money, then they won't care about that because they'll have guaranteed money. But I agree with you. The good players, the Le'Veon Bells, the DeAndre Hopkinses, all those
They're all getting guaranteed contracts.
understood. What about the special teamer who's making the league minimum, which is still a lot of money, more money than I'll probably ever see a year in my life? What if he goes down, breaks the leg, can't play anymore?
Well, then he's going to have to find another profession. I'm just saying.
But if his 3-year,
football-
$750,000 contract was guaranteed, that would be a nice fallback for him.
But then that's something he should have when he went to the negotiating.
He doesn't have
table.
leverage. A player like that doesn't have leverage.
But that's the whole.
You don't think it's wrong that NFL players don't have guaranteed contracts?
Oh, I'm all for the players having guaranteed contracts.
Bobby Bonilla is still getting paid from the Mets
I know
because the baseball has guaranteed contracts.
I-
Basketball has guaranteed contracts. You probably know more about hockey contract structure than me.
There were most of them were guaranteed contracts except for the two-way contracts.
So those players can be sent down to the AHL.
Right.
Is that what that means?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a two-way contract. But I mean, they're guaranteed. Too.
But
you're right.
hockey, of the 4 major sports, their players make the least of
By
the
far.
4, but it's
But they're
guaranteed.
Yeah, they're all guaranteed.
That's what the
absolutely.
NFL. If I was an NFL player, that's what I would be pushing for. Yeah, we'll take less, but we want it all.
Well, that's something that has to.
None
be
of this roster bonus
that has
BS that goes on.
that has to be negotiated. I mean, listen.
It should be.
But what do you call a signing bonus, though? Signing bonus is actually.
You can still have them.
I'm just saying, though, signing bonuses are guaranteed money.
No, they're not because you have to. You
No,
have
if
to
you get
do
a
some.
signing- if
You
you
have
get
to
a
do
signing-
something worthy of getting a
if you're a
bonus
free
to
agent-
achieve the pay hike.
If you are a free agent, okay, and you sign
Like
let's
the
say-
roster bonus.
No, I'm talking about if you are a free agent,
Yeah.
okay, and you sign a contract with a team and you get a $20 million signing bonus, and then say 4 years for $20 million. Okay, the 4 years for $20 million is not guaranteed, but that signing bonus, that's your money. And unless you do
I think
something,
it's
unless
very flawed that the
unless you
NFL
do
does not have
something-
guaranteed
unless
contracts.
you do something, with the morality code to get yourself thrown out of the league, okay, you don't have to pay back that. You don't have to pay back that sign bonus unless you do something that gets you suspended.
But I mean, teams go after those signing bonuses all the time, Brad.
Oh, I know because it's a way to circumvent the cap.
And you don't think that's wrong, considering the risk that those players put out each and
Rob,
every week.
I would want them to all get. I would want to see them all get guaranteed contracts, but I just don't think the owners are not going to give in to that.
The owners aren't going to have any teams.
Well, listen, that's something that.
There's going to be a strike.
I mean, listen, there is a lot of problems right now going on in the NFL behind closed doors. You know, between that, the kneeling, some of the stuff that some of that stuff that's been going on.
The kneeling is such. I mean, if you want to go out there and kneel, I don't agree with it. I think it's wrong. I think it's disrespectful. But if you want to go out there and kneel in the national anthem or put your fist in the air, whatever, dude. Go ahead. I think you're wrong. I think it's disrespectful to the people who died.
I don't have a problem with putting your fist in the air. I do have a problem with kneeling. I think that's awful.
Whatever. If that's what really, if that's really what you want to do to show your disdain towards America, all for it, dude. Go for it. And if you ask me, and then the league's national anthem policy is unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional. You
really
can't do that.
stupid.
It's not Nazi Germany. You can't you can't do that.
Well,
it's going to go to the Supreme Court eventually, probably.
Yeah,
and I'm sure
will.
the NFL Players Association will win.
But some of that's, but as I said, this stuff is becoming a problem because there's a lot of stadiums right now where the fans are not showing up because they're angry with the players for the kneeling. Look at Baltimore.
That's the fans. Then
right.
the fans don't have to go.
Right, but they're losing money. And if the owners and the players are losing money, then you know what? It's always about the money with them. They're going to have to figure something out because they can't be playing in front of half-empty stadiums.
The Jaguars do it all the time.
That's the Jaguars
And the Browns.
That's the Browns. Yeah, but they both their stadiums are empty because they stink. I'm talking about
none of these I don't care if they're half.
What about the Baltimore Ravens last year? Last game of the season, they're fighting for a playoff spot.
I'm sure the Baltimore
half the stadium was empty, and if the Ravens won that game, they would have been in the playoffs.
So you're telling me?
Can you imagine?
You're telling me the Ravens balance sheet showed they were in the red?
No, I'm sure they weren't. But
no.
All I'm saying to you,
those tickets were bought and paid for, and the people who bought and paid for the tickets didn't show up. They didn't lose money because the stadium was half full. Not by any stretch of the imagination.
If people don't show up, they're not selling parking. They're not selling concessions. I mean, there's a lot of money to be lost when people don't show up. Whether the tickets
people
are
are
sold
still
or not.
watching on TV. People are still buying their Ravens hats and their Ravens T-shirts.
Agreed. But all I'm saying to you
there's
is
plenty of ways that NFL teams make money. Parking, that's pennies.
Rob,
pennies.
The NFL wants every dime. That is one league. They are the greediest
But Brad,
league.
parking, and compared to the TV contracts, it's pennies. They're still going to have a lucrative TV contract that's going to get whacked up among the 32 teams, and they're all going to operate in the black, not the red.
The ratings are going down because of it too.
The ratings are going down because they're oversaturating the market with that stupid Thursday game.
That could be part of it.
It's definitely part of it.
If it was a good game.
You know how they do the doubleheader?
Help.
No, they do the doubleheader on Monday night the first week.
Yeah.
And it's awesome, and then never do it again.
Because they're smart. They do it once.
Do a doubleheader on Monday night every week instead of the stupid Thursday game.
Yeah, I don't like the Thursday game either.
It's a short week. It's an extreme disadvantage for the road team.
And you also it's a great way to get the players hurt too.
So you put a doubleheader on Monday night. You get rid of let the college kids play on Thursday night. Give them the TV spot, and have 2 games on Monday night. I love the Monday night doubleheader. It's so awesome.
I do too, and I'm not disagreeing with you. All I would say is this though: if the Thursday night games actually were,
but it's never gonna be
classic matchups. It would be.
It's never gonna be that.
No,
well, how fair is that if the Eagles and the Cowboys are playing on Thursday night for the division title after they both played on Sunday in December? That's not fair. Especially not fair for whoever's on the road.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. You're right.
And I'm so happy because I believe, Frank, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the Eagles' only Thursday night game is against the Falcons in the opener.
That is, I believe.
Is that accurate?
I believe
that's
very
accurate.
Let me verify to confirm.
So that's ideal for the Eagles because the only time they'll have to play on short rest is if they have a Monday night game, which I know they have a few. So I love that in terms of the Eagles.
As far as Monday night games go, It's not that big of a difference.
I understand. That's why you play 2 on Monday.
Yeah, it's not.
And then the
it's not
second
that
game,
big a
the
difference.
second game of the doubleheader is going to be West Coast teams, obviously.
Right.
So you put the premier West Coast game on at 10 o'clock, 10:15 on Monday night instead of a Thursday game, and everybody wins. You start at 7 or 7:30 like baseball does. You don't have to wait till 8:30 to start the East Coast
They
Monday
have
night game.
two
I
this
agree with you
season,
about that.
the
8:30,
Eagles.
it's late.
It is.
If you
It's
start
too
at
late.
7:15, 7:30,
The game's over by 10:30, 11 o'clock at
Yep.
the latest.
They got two.
the
Thursday night
opener.
they got the opener and then the away game at the Giants, and this is after a home game against the Vikings.
Yeah, but
I
a
mean,
game against a home game
traveling
against,
in traveling
to
traveling to
to
New York, that's not
is
that
no
big a deal.
They're
Right.
sleeping in their
It's not
sleeping
like
in
the
their own
West
beds.
Coast.
They can go there the day of the game, get
Yeah,
off the
right.
bus, and go play.
They're sleeping
That's
in their
fine.
own beds.
Now, when is that game?
October 11th. So that will
Okay, that's
be
not exactly
week
down the stretch, but-
week 6.
I wonder what
that game
I
was
wonder
in-
who the Giants play the week before that.
Frank will check
I
right
will
now.
check.
Yeah, who are the Giants playing the week before?
The Giants
They're
will
probably
be
home for that
playing
game.
the
They're
week
probably home.
Before will be, if it's gonna let me do it. There we go. Regular season schedule. The game before is a road game at Carolina.
That's East Coast.
That's East
fine.
Coast. That's no big
Yeah.
deal. That's a 2-hour plane
Yeah,
ride.
it's a 2-hour plane ride.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
a big deal. So
But
I mean, the Giants will be the Giants.
what if
after
instead-
the game they'll be sleeping?
What
in
if
their
what
bed.
if instead the Eagles and Giants played that Monday at 7:15 and then had whoever plays on Monday night start at 10:30 or shuffle things around so that a West Coast team can play there.
that would be?
A
That would be
doubleheader
music
on
to my
Monday
ears.
is the easiest way to fix the NFL's oversaturation of football. 'Cause everyone's programmed into watching Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
Everybody. Hey, did they pick a replacement for Gruden on that?
I do not know. I haven't
haven't
really
heard
followed
anything
up
about that.
on anything.
Yeah, I haven't heard.
Gruden was getting to be annoying on that, so I'm kind of glad
Yeah.
he's coaching Oakland.
Yeah, he was making that everybody was great. It's enough
Yeah,
already.
because he wants to have him on the QB camp,
Yeah, right.
the QB
Right.
camp, where
Yeah.
every quarterback
Every
is,
quarterback is this is all that in a bag of chips.
Oh yeah.
You know that
They're
that
not.
that was getting a little old last year. I would agree.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of the Sports Hounds. We'll be back on A2D Radio next Monday night, 8 to 10. Peace out, everybody.